Welcome to the Geostrategic Podcast.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Just months after a devastating U.S. airstrike crippled its nuclear sites, Iran has unveiled a weapon the world wasn't ready for. A bunker-buster missile, powerful enough to destroy targets buried deep beneath the earth, even those once thought untouchable. Experts say it could shift the entire balance of power in the Middle East, and maybe even beyond. How did Tehran build this in secret? Can it really reach Israel or even the U.S.? Stay tuned, because what's coming next may redefine modern warfare.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to look at the sources and really understand this massive shift in Iran's military thinking, its doctrine, and the immediate geostrategic implications, this new deep strike capability. It's big.
It really is. And to get why this is such a big deal, you have to look at the context. This wasn't developed in a vacuum. It's a direct response, really, to that huge U.S. airstrike back in June 2025.
Right, the one that hit their key nuclear sites hard. Natanz, Fordo, Isfahan.
Exactly. Those were considered their most protected assets deep underground. And the attack itself was something else. The U.S. used those massive ordnance penetrators, the MOPs. These things are enormous, nearly 14 tons each.
Heavy hitters, designed specifically for deep targets.
And the damage. Our sources are talking over $500 billion to Iran's nuclear program. It basically showed that hiding deep underground wasn't enough anymore.
Precisely. I mean, when you take a hit like that, your whole strategic playbook has to change. Iran saw that its main defense tactic, burying critical assets, was just, well, bypassed by the MOP.
So they shifted gears.
Fundamentally. Their new doctrine, it seems, prioritizes what they're calling an unbalanced response.
Unbalanced response.
No.
Okay, what does that actually look like compared to, their older strategy of using proxies and surface attacks?
It's almost an inversion. Before, it was about projecting power regionally, using proxies, controlling territory. Now, it's about hitting back where it hurts the most, making the adversary feel vulnerable.
So if the U.S. or Israel think their command centers or nuclear sites are safe deep underground, Iran wants to show them they're not. It's like saying, you used bunker busters on us. Fine. We'll develop the capability to take out your bunkers. It's asymmetric deterrence, moving the whole fight underground, strategically speaking.
So, okay. The U.S. MOP hits them. Ren basically says, right, we need our own version, but on a missile, and accurate. How did they pull that off? What's the tech behind this new warhead? How does it actually punch through rock and concrete?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, delving into some advanced materials science. It's not just about making something heavy. You need basically three key things working together.
Okay.
First, a special high-density metal layer, think high-strength steel alloys, maybe even decaying uranium composites for extreme density. Second, a super accurate delivery system to hit the exact right spot. And third, a delayed fuse.
A delayed fuse, so it doesn't explode on impact?
Exactly. The idea is to penetrate deep first, survive the entry and impact, and then detonate. The explosion generates these massive seismic shockwaves inside the target structure, causing tunnels and chambers to collapse from within. Decaying uranium composites. That sounds incredibly specialized. Hard to get, hard to work with, especially under sanctions, right? Why use that instead of just really strong steel?
Two main reasons: density and heat resistance. You need incredible mass packed into the warhead to maintain momentum for deep penetration. That's density.
Got it.
But equally important, it has to survive insane stress. We're talking impacts over 10,000 Gs, plus atmospheric reentry temps hitting maybe 1,500 degrees Celsius. If the warhead breaks apart or melts on the way down, it's useless.
So mastering those materials, that was the real technological hurdle they had to overcome.
That seems to be the core breakthrough, yes. It's a significant leap in materials science and engineering for them.
And the main delivery system for this warhead is the Khorramshahr-5 missile. The performance figures we're seeing reported are pretty eye-watering. What are the key specs that have analysts worried?
Well, the sources point to it being adapted from the North Korean Musudan BM-25, but significantly upgraded. It carries a hefty 2-ton warhead, specifically designed for this deep penetration job.
Okay, 2 tons. That's substantial.
It is. But it's the combination of speed and precision that's really turning heads. Reports mention a top speed possibly reaching Mach 16.
Mach 16. 16 times the speed of sound.
Right. And crucially, the precision, the CEP, or circle air probable, is reportedly under 10 meters.
Let's pause on that CEP for a second. 10 meters. Why is that level of accuracy so vital for a bunker buster?
Because you're not aiming for a general area like a city block. You're aiming for a very specific tiny weak point on a hardened underground facility, maybe a ventilation shaft, an entrance, a reinforced door.
Okay.
A normal missile might land, 500 meters away, maybe more, useless against a bunker. But 10 meters, that pretty much guarantees hitting the exact spot needed to start punching through. It makes it a surgical weapon against hardened targets.
And then there's the range, the big one.
Yeah.
Reports mention up to 12,000 kilometers.
Yes, that's intercontinental, theoretically capable of reaching the U.S. mainland. That fundamentally changes Iran's strategic posture.
But it's not just this one big missile, is it? Sources suggest this bunker-busting tech is also being fitted onto other platforms. Things like the Fattah-2 hypersonic glider and the Imad missile.
That's right. It shows they're thinking about a layered threat. The Khorramshahr-5 is the sledgehammer, the main penetrator, but the Fattah-2, that's the slippery one.
How so?
It's a hypersonic glide vehicle. It flies incredibly fast, but it also maneuvers unpredictably within the atmosphere at lower altitudes than traditional ballistic missiles.
Which makes it harder to track and intercept.
Much harder. Systems like Israel's Iron Dome or the U.S. Patriot PAC-3 are designed primarily for predictable ballistic trajectories. The Fattah-2 is designed to just glide right past them.
So you've got the brute force approach with the Khorramshahr-5 and this evasive defense-dodging capability with the Fattah-2, both potentially carrying this new warhead.
Exactly. And this warhead technology itself, across these platforms, seems to use a sophisticated double-layer design.
Double-layer.
Yeah, the first stage is likely focused on kinetic energy, just punching through the initial layers of defense. Then, the second stage detonates inside, maximizing damage, and sources mention combined Russian and Chinese design elements here, specifically something called an empty space detector fuse.
Empty space detector fuse.
That sounds very specific. What does that do inside a bunker?
It's quite clever, actually. A big problem with attacking bunkers is that the bomb might detonate too early, maybe in the rock above or between layers of concrete.
Right, wasting the explosion.
Precisely. This fuse is designed to sense the change in density when the warhead finally breaks through the last barrier and enters an open space, a tunnel, a command room. It senses that transition from solid to air.
And then it triggers the main explosion. That seems to be the idea. Detonating inside the actual facility maximizes the internal blast pressure and shockwaves, ensuring structural collapse. It's about making the kill absolutely certain once penetration is achieved. So you put all this technology together, and the result is an immediate shift in the strategic balance. Iran suddenly has a much stronger deterrent. Operationally, psychologically, it's a big gain for them.
Because targets once thought safe are now potentially vulnerable.
Exactly. They're signaling that hiding deep underground doesn't guarantee immunity anymore.
Which brings us straight to the region, starting with Israel. They rely heavily on underground facilities, Dimona, command centers like the one under Mount Hermon. How vulnerable are those sites now?
Well, the basic security assumptions they've operated under for years have kind of evaporated overnight. Their defenses were built for older, more predictable threats.
With the Khorramshahr-5's precision, or the Fattah-2's evasion.
It means they can assume safety, even hundreds of meters down. And it's not just Israel. Think about Saudi Arabia, with its own hardened sites, missile silos, command centers often built with U.S. help. They face the same threat now.
How are these regional powers reacting? Is there movement?
Oh, absolutely. The reaction, especially from Israel, has been fast. They're reportedly accelerating the development of their next-gen Arrow 4 missile defense system, specifically designed to counter threats like these high-speed maneuvering targets.
Well, better shields.
Better shields, yes, but also better spears. They're apparently talking to the U.S. about acquiring new, even more powerful bunker buster bombs themselves. We're hearing figures like weapons potentially 5 times heavier than the existing MOPs.
Wow, so an immediate escalation. The arms race is going deeper, literally.
You could say that it's accelerating vertically into the earth.
And zooming out from the region, that 12,000-kilometer range on the Khorramshahr-5, that puts Iran on the global missile stage, doesn't it? That must complicate things massively for Washington.
It does, massively. The U.S. already has its hands full trying to track hypersonic systems from Russia, like Avangard, and China, like the DFZF, with its existing ground-based mid-course defense, or GMD system.
Which is already stretched thin.
Exactly. Now you add a third potential intercontinental threat actor into the mix. It forces a major reassessment of U.S. missile defense posture, resource allocation. The whole framework is under new pressure.
Beyond the purely military side, what about the economic ripple effects? This kind of instability in the Gulf.
Yeah.
It always seems to hit the oil markets.
It absolutely does. Look, any spike in tensions in the Persian Gulf, any threat, real or perceived, to shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, That's the world's oil choke point.
Right.
If this escalation leads to nervousness or incidents there, you could easily see crude oil prices jumping well above $150 a barrel. That sends inflation shocks rippling through the global economy. Europe feels it. Asia feels it, especially places like the ASEAN countries that rely heavily on stable energy imports.
So energy security suddenly gets tangled up with Iran's bunker buster capability.
It's all interconnected now.
And diplomatically. We're likely looking at new sanctions, but could that backfire? Maybe push Tehran even closer to Moscow and Beijing.
That's the classic dynamic, isn't it? Sanctions often consolidate relationships between the targeted nations. We could see China offering more help, maybe data sharing on things like hypersonic flight controls. They see Iran as a useful counterweight.
And Russia.
Russia might see a mutually beneficial tech swap. They could offer advanced missile know-how in return for more access to Iran's proven drone technology, which they've found useful.
It sounds like we're seeing the emergence of a sort of multipolar weapons development network focused on these advanced missile technologies.
I think that's a good way to put it. It's forging new paths for defense cooperation, maybe outside traditional alliances. It feels a bit like the Cold War dynamics, but the currency now is this high-end missile and penetration tech. The future security landscape might be shaped by these tech-sharing networks.
So to pull it together, Iran, learning from being attacked, has developed its own potent deep strike capability. They've built a new kind of deterrence, basically answering the U.S. MOP with the Khorramshahr-5 and related tech, showing they can survive and hit back hard, even globally.
That's the core message, yes. They've turned a vulnerability into a new form of offensive deterrence. But, and this is important, there are significant risks.
Such as?
Well, the secrecy around the testing regime. Sources say much of it happened underground, maybe at complexes like Khorramshahr, with very little transparency. This lack of verification, it really increases the chance of miscalculation, of signals being misread. That could lead to unintended escalation.
And it also complicates diplomacy, like the nuclear deal talks.
Hugely. The missile program was always deliberately kept separate from the original nuclear deal, the JCPOA. But now, with this demonstrated capability, especially the intercontinental range and advanced warhead, missiles are front and center for Western security concerns.
So trying to revive any kind of nuclear negotiation gets much, much harder.
Fundamentally harder, yes, because you can't ignore the delivery system anymore. And really, this isn't just about Iran. It reflects this broader shift in warfare in the 21st century. Strategic competition is literally burrowing underground.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, our listener. In this new era of underground deterrence, we see nations scrambling for defenses, like Israel's Arrow 4, or boosting their own offensive capabilities, like India apparently accelerating its Agni-V program. The question is, will this race for countermeasures ultimately be more destabilizing than the original threats they're designed to counter? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the shifting sands, or perhaps shifting rock of geostrategic power.
And we hope you'll explore our other deep dives. Keep digging into the sources with us and maybe see the world a little differently. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this discussion valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to the Geostrategic podcast for more in-depth analysis on topics that shape our world. Stay informed, stay ahead, and stay tuned for the next episode.